Love your big grin. Hello and welcome to Fiber Trek. It has been 2 weeks.
Yep.
2 weeks since we last recorded. I feel very official. I have my notes and my pen, but don't be afraid. I'm sure it will all spiral downward soon enough. So welcome to returning viewers or new viewers. Thank you so much for taking some time to check out the podcast or catch up with the podcast. So this is Fiber Trek. This is episode 15. Today is July 22nd. I am Swensti on Ravelry, which sounds a little bit more romantic than what it actually means, which is Sven stayed here. Take that as you will, but I'm like totally channeling that name though because I'm rereading Outlander right now, so I'm like channeling all my Scottish passion and love, if you will. So, and who are you?
I'm She Knits Around.
You knit around. She
I
knits
knit
around. On Ravelry.
On Ravelry.
And she's getting much more active.
Yes, we're getting there.
Yep. So we're excited about
I have
that.
friends
I know.
now.
People
I'm moving up in the world.
They want to be your friends.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So, and I'm trying to encourage, and your real name is Morgan.
That's my real name.
To comment on the forums.
Yes, I haven't done that yet, but I will. Maybe after
You heard
this
it here.
episode.
You heard it here first.
Here. Maybe after this podcast.
I think you need to make a comment.
I will make a comment.
People want to hear from you.
Just start spreading the word.
All right, well, I won't break into song, but
I've been spreading the Fiber Trek word.
yeah, you do well with the Fiber Trek.
I do. I've been telling all my random friends in random places.
Better than me. I should give you buttons and business cards.
I
to pass out.
even told that one person whose dad is friends with a celebrity.
Who's the celebrity?
Fitz from Scandal.
Oh, right, that's right.
Yeah,
I'm sure
they're friends. And oh my gosh, this is like sinful that I can't remember.
Give me.
Bridget Jones' Diary.
Colin Firth?
Yes.
Oh, I love Colin Firth.
I know.
Wait, how does Colin Firth know about Fiber Trek?
He doesn't. He's friends with the dad. And oh God, this is gonna sound so.
Colin
My
Firth.
sister played basketball with this girl, and she just went to visit her. She lives in Vancouver, and she said, "Morgan, Lauren's roommate reminds me so much of you. She's really into knitting, and she just got into it." And so I was like, "Oh my gosh, you should talk about Fiber Trek." And she goes, "Oh my sister could care less about anything that I care about."
Nikki.
So she could be watching this.
We love you, Nikki. At least we didn't say we wanted you to be eaten by a cougar like your dad. Do I need to edit that out?
No.
Okay.
And she goes, "Yeah, we were invited to this thing because her dad is friends with these celebrities." And I was like, "Oh, who?" And she said, the guy's name, and I was like, "I don't know who that is." She goes, "It's Fitz from Scandal." And I was like, "Oh." She goes, "And yeah, Colin Firth." And I was like,
Colin Firth.
I'm like 90% sure.
If Colin Firth is watching right now,
But maybe
He could be.
He could be. Hey, Colin.
but I look really good in 19th century costumes, just in case you were looking to cast somebody in your movie.
So anyways, I told her to tell her roommate about Fiber Trek.
18th century costumes, sorry.
Yes. 19th century.
That would have been last then. No, 19th century is correct.
19th
This is
century,
the 20
1800s.
Right, this is the 21st, that was the 20th, and that was the 19th. You're always one ahead.
Yes.
Hard to believe I do textiles in time.
It's a lot. All that moving through time has got you confused.
I don't know where I am. So anyway, Colin Firth, if you're watching, thank you so much for tuning in. That would be so exciting, wouldn't it? Maybe he would come to a Fiber Trek retreat. Speaking of which, Granny Sheep on our boards has posted some beautiful pictures of her farm. And because I had mentioned in a little bit of a dialogue about how amazing it would be to host a Fiber Trek retreat there, and so we've just been, commiserating a little bit on that, and she posted some beautiful photos, and most of their retreats, workshops had focused around draft horses, but obviously the farm has a lot of open space and opportunity for other fibery wool interests. So if you have a chance, go check out some of those pictures that she's posted in the thread. So thanks, Granny Sheep, for letting us dream a little bit and be inspired by some beautiful country. Speaking of beautiful country, I was in Nova Scotia for a couple days with my husband on vacation, and we went to Halifax, and we had other plans, and we completely changed all that. And we took a day trip out from Halifax to Wolfville, Nova Scotia, which is on the northwestern shore, like the northern shore of the peninsula. And we went to Gaspereau Valley Fiber Farm, which is also a yarn shop. And serendipitously, it happened, and I noticed this the night before, it happened to be their knit day on Thursday from 1:30 to 4:30. So we drove out, we had lunch, and we went to the knit afternoon, Rob and I, and there were like 40 people there. It was an amazing knitting gathering and an amazing space. It's a converted barn, and she's got beautiful yarns from fleece artists and handmaiden fine yarns, I think it is. Mother-daughter dyeing duo, both based in Nova Scotia. She also had Harrisville Design Shetland. She had her own fiber. She had some fiber that had been milled by a local mill out of Yarmouth. So really nice selection, and just a gorgeous, welcoming, earthy, salty, earthy kind of space with lots of great knitting participants. Rob happened to be the only male there that day knitting, which was quite funny. But yeah, just an amazing group of women that were so welcoming, and that's the word to describe it. Manda was the initial hostess that I met, and she just walked right up and brought us right in, and she seems to manage that whole organization really well. They had food when we were there because it was somebody's birthday. It's 8 o'clock. Of course it is. And we just chucked right into the circle and tucked right into the food, and we knit for a couple hours. And I have some acquisitions and discoveries. And I also will post some pics at the very end if you want to see pictures of the yarn shop, etc. There was a very sweet cat there who likes to find very comfy, cozy places to sleep in the fiber, even when it's like 85 degrees out. So I got some cute pictures of that. So that was awesome. It was a highlight for both Rob and I. And I'll tell you more about Halifax perhaps in acquisitions and discoveries. We heard from Karen SWB, and she is a Fibertown follower. Emily's been sending a lot of great followers our way and sharing her audience. So thank you, Emily, for that. And she offered up some great tips on Kickstarter as a possible way to move the Fiber Trek TV show forward. So I have an account with them right now, and we'll be doing a little bit more further examination with that avenue for how we're going to take the next step. C2 Hull Hull Loves Me, who is from Buffalo, New York. She introduced herself on the board as another Fibertown follower. Emily, thank you. She's a biochemistry major, which is pretty awesome. And she did something really interesting. She happened to mention some of her favorite breeds to work with, and that was Falkland, Shetland, Cheviot, and Targhee. And that's a really nice selection of down, some interesting fine, and Shetland, of course, the island, and the strong breeds, and Targhee, and a new American breed with a lot of bounce to it. So, and her ultimate fiber trek is to New Zealand, which is no surprise there. And then Tanya Marie, who she hosts the Sampler Girl podcast, and I had thought for a while I was subscribed, and nothing was downloading, and then I realized I wasn't, so I'm catching up on all of those. She has audio, and she also does a video catch-up every once in a while, and she has lots of main connections. So thank you so much for introducing yourselves on the board. Also, thank you for all the great comments and connections that happen and transpire throughout the course of the week. I really, as I always say, I really enjoyed that element of just being attuned to what listeners and followers are doing and what they're working on and what they've been inspired by, or etc. Works in progress?
Works in progress. You want to go first?
No, I've been chatting. I'll let
Okay.
you go first.
Well,
What's on your needles right now?
Right
Don't
now.
even go there.
I won't even go
Don't
there.
go there.
Right now, I cast it on last night. The Sweet Bunting Baby Cardigan by Laura Chow, and it is very sweet.
Very sweet.
I can pull up a photo
Yeah.
on Ye Old Ravelry here.
Colin Firth, did you catch that?
Did you catch that, Colin Firth? Where do I go here? Okay. I need to go to here. So yeah, and it's perfect timing too, because I just got a text message from my friend Leah, who's having the baby, about the baby shower. So I'm really excited. I hopefully will be finishing full screen here
It's very sweet.
just in time. So this is the Sweet Bunting cardigan. Very, very exciting. And we can talk about the yarn I'm using in
Oh yes, we
Acquisitions.
have to talk. No, talk about
Wanna
it
talk
now.
about it right now. So
Don't wait. It's so beautiful.
I obviously am learning everything, and I texted Sarah and I said,
You're a prodigy.
I'm a prodigy. I texted Sarah and I said, I really want to knit this cute baby cardigan, but what do I knit it with? Because obviously I want the baby to feel comfortable in it. I want them to want to put the baby in it because I'm putting in, you know,
Yeah.
all this effort. I want it to be used. I don't want it to sit on a hanger and just have people look at it. And she recommended a few places, and we looked online at colors, and because the colors are what they are, kind of berry, a blue, and then like an oatmeal honey kind of color, I didn't want it to be patriotic because I wanted them to want to wear it year round. And it could have gone very red, white, and blue very fast. And it did. So a few of the colors we picked out, anyways, it took a lot of, we went back and forth, and we settled on Morehouse.
Morehouse Merino,
Morehouse
out of upstate
Merino.
New York.
And
We're losing light.
we are losing light. Did you want to adjust it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully we won't perspire.
Okay. Well, I'll keep,
Keep going.
You do that.
Sorry about that.
So we settled on the three colors that I settled on were oatmeal.
And one more.
One more what?
There we are.
We're here. So oatmeal, which is this color, and it's a little.
It's oatmeal-y.
It's oatmeal, for sure. And that'll be the main color. And then for the string, what is blue in the pattern is called blue gray. And it's a little bit more.
What happens if you bring it back towards us?
It's not that bright.
It's
It's more muted. And then for the flags, I went with, it's called Dusty Rose. And it's not that purple. It's actually lighter in real person and more dusty rose in my mind. Anyways, a black raspberry. Kind of looks
Yeah.
like black raspberry
Yep.
ice cream. That's what that looks like. So it came in the mail, and I was just thinking about like, I hope I like the colors, because buying online is always difficult. Not only do I love the colors, but I love the yarn.
The yarn it's incredible yarn.
I'm buying some more for myself at some
It's
point.
very buttery,
Yeah.
and but it feels like it has a hand to it. Like it doesn't feel like it's gonna pill and fall apart or break apart. It has structure, but it's got this really amazing butter. So
Loving it.
yeah,
I think it's gonna be.
I'm totally ordering yarn to do a sweater for myself out of this.
So there you have it. So yeah, very exciting. It all worked out. So I casted that on last night,
And it was an economical purchase. It was cheaper than
the other yarn.
what we had been looking at.
Right. So this is all I have so far. I have the seed
And what size
stitch.
are you doing again? It was
I
like
am doing
18 months?
12 to 18 months, and on size 4 needles. And Morehouse Merino,
Yeah, right online.
oatmeal colorway.
Lots of different colors and lots of weights to choose from. So,
Very, very happy. And it shipped really quickly,
yeah,
which was great.
it's gorgeous yarn.
And then we will be casting on
We'll be casting on the Vedbeck. We'll talk about that
later.
We'll talk about that together. So
Yeah,
we
let's
can
do
give them
that.
the special.
Yeah, so the
announcement.
reason I just casted this on last night, one, my yarn had come in the mail, which was exciting, and two, the cardigan I had been working on,
We all know what that cardigan is. That's okay.
the cardigan that I had been working on, Sarah had ripped out 25 rows because I had forgotten to do the underarm decreases. And so
This is part of the therapeutic element with what you're doing right now.
talking about it.
Saying it out loud, talking about it. That we're offering you our witness.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. So I do the underarm decreases, and I get back to where I had been before she ripped it all out. And she ripped out like 25 rows.
With noops.
With noops.
Noops on the sides.
Increasing noops.
Ugh.
So I had gotten to about here on the sweater. And
I think I'm having
Sarah,
post-traumatic stress.
Sarah looks at it and she goes, no. No.
No, Morgan's sitting here on the couch, and she's like, I am finally back to where I was when you ripped it out. And I was like,
announced
great.
it.
And I looked at it, and I was like, bad news bears.
Such bad news. So those 6 rows or 4 rows of decreases, that was the only progress I made because I had to rip it all out again.
All the way back down to where you started. Because she's doing a shaped sleeve cap. So she's shaping the set-in sleeve as she goes. And so she just did the decreases here. But she did not keep the decreases going to shape that sleeve up.
I was refusing to give up, though. I actually dropped those stitches and worked them up.
Yeah,
and
tried
then,
to work it up.
And then tied the extra yarn. From the front it looked fine, but from the back it was a hot mess.
But you had to learn that for yourself.
I did have to learn that.
So I didn't want to be like Kaibasha because you were fragile. You were very fragile.
Fragile state.
And this
I'm in the
happened, and this happened at like 9 at night.
Yep. So then I just ripped it out. Nightmare. So I decided, I know I said this before and then I picked it up. I have a really hard time letting things go and not finishing them. This time I'm going to let it go and I'm actually going to put it away.
Yeah. But it will still be there. I mean, you'll finish it. You're just not going to finish it
Anytime
now.
soon. No, I'm going to work on sweet bunting. I'm going to work on the Vedbeck shawl. Plus, I'll be knitting that with you.
Yeah.
So hopefully there'll be less room for error or.
But granted, the pattern is written, and in such a way that you have to read through multiple pages and parts because there's a whole number of simultaneous elements happening at
And
one time.
I'm a step by step follower.
So
And if that's going to happen, I needed to say, meanwhile,
back at the ranch.
back at the ranch,
Yeah.
you should actually be doing this while you're doing
Meanwhile,
all
back at
this.
the sleeve. Yeah. So it's a lesson. It's definitely a lesson learned.
Lesson learned.
But gorgeous pattern all the same.
Yeah.
And it's going to look great on you. And it fits. And the gauge is
It does
correct.
fit.
And so it's going to be awesome.
It is. It's just not going to be awesome right now.
It's not awesome right now, but it will be.
So anyways, frustration hit.
But soothed.
Soothed by
By
my
gorgeous
buttery
yarn.
Morehouse Merino in my hands and my adorable sweet bunting in progress.
Which is basically stockinette.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just, I did the seed stitch border, and then it's 7 inches of stockinette, and then you do the sleeves, and and then you do the bunting, and I'm really excited. I think it's gonna be
Smooth sailing.
great. Fingers crossed.
Smooth sailing.
Anyways, really excited about that because then I have a few baby hats that I want to knit after, and Sarah has a few baby hats too. The really cute scaled ones that you were showing me.
Yes. I'm like, I have to knit baby hats, but no,
No.
I have patterns.
So that is that, and then I have been working on my drop spindling.
Yeah. We can talk about spinning in a minute.
Right, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Stop cross-pollinating all of our topics.
Sorry.
Fed back. It's
Okay.
Anything
That's
else?
it.
Okay.
Do I have anything else? No.
I don't think so. All right. Well, I'm working on The Good No, which is by Bonnie Sennett. I'm doing it out of Northern Solstice alpaca fiber, which is a 90% alpaca and a 10% bamboo. And I have made a lot of progress. I'm probably 13 inches in, and then it's got this cable on the side. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. Ah! Right there. Ultraviolet rays. And I worked a lot on this when I was in Canada, in the car, because so much of it is just straight stockinette, and then the cable I could check every once in a while. So I'm happy with that. It's coming along. That is on, I think I said size 7, 4.5 millimeter. I also started working a little bit more diligently on a new family portrait, the stocking for my nephew. I'm a little concerned I'm going to run out of fiber, and it's going to be this massive, we already talked about this, the Megatron stocking, and I think it's getting a little Megatron-ish, but I'm going to persevere and keep going. So here is the foot. It looks huge right there. I don't know if that's because of the perspective of our head, but I'm like, oh good God. But I have probably a little bit more to work, maybe another 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and then I'm going to turn the heel and go up. So this is Stonehenge fiber, and I'm doing it on a US 5, 3.75 millimeter, and it's by Doreen Giordano, Giordano, A-N-O, a new family portrait, and I did purchase it on RAV, so that's coming along, and but it is a little bit more labor intensive with the eyes and the charts. It's not an intuitive color work pattern for me, so I have to really be diligent. I keep using that word. I have to be focused on where I am in the chart pattern. The other thing I'm working on is, I cast this on, I've been looking to work on it for a while. This is with Upton Yarns. She is a Maine dyer. She uses all natural dyes, and she sources all of her fiber from Maine and New Hampshire farms, and then has it milled for her to spec. And so this is her Saquar yarn, but it's a Cotswold Romney blend, I believe. And I've just started, and you can just start to see the pattern, and that red is a madder red, and it's really, really gorgeous. So I worked a little bit on this when we were in Canada. That's the hand. And I'm doing the 34th and 8th mitts by Spilly Jane. It was a Brooklyn Tweed, part of the Brooklyn Tweed collection, on size 2, 2.5 millimeter. The other thing I'm working on is for the Where I Live Craft Along with the Stitch Together audio podcast with Chrissy. And it's, I know you're all going to probably gasp, but I am working with Superwash on this particular project. I know. But it is for my brother and his son. Well, it's not for my brother, it's for my brother's son. And I'm knitting, it's really adorable. I knit him a fox from Little Cotton Rabbits for Christmas. And I am knitting this, I think the name of the pattern is Beaver.
So sweet.
Beaver with sweater coat. And so I'm knitting that for him for whatever. I also have an otter I'm going to do. So I'll have a beaver, an otter, and a fox. And then there's an elephant I think I'm going to do for him too. But I chose to use the Superwash because that's kind of how they roll, and I think it'll be easier to wash the stuffy. And I'm using Knit Picks superwash. I think it's Wool of the Andes. And I'm just using a couple colors. I'm having a little bit of trouble with this pattern and getting the legs to work out evenly so they're both the same size. I would highly recommend Little Cotton Rabbit's her fox stuffies, and this is going to be, I think this is going to be fun if I could just be focused and organize myself and my gauge. I have that in my fondant fiber bag that she sent along, the 4th, the stars, and red, white, and blue. I think that's it. If you're curious about the Where I Live craft along, it is running. You have to have cast on at June 28th, and it ends the 31st of August. And the project has to somehow be be correlated to where you live. So, for example, I chose to do this because we have beaver and otter that live on the pond. Or you may choose to use, balsam green yarn, the colorways balsam green, because you live in the Pacific Northwest. So there's a lot of ways to tie in where you live to the craft that you're doing. So that is with Stitch Together, great audio podcast, and Chrissy. She's a pretty prolific spinner, so I really like following her on Instagram. And then I'm going to we're going to cross-pollinate. We're going to talk about the Vedbeck shawl and kind of an acquisition. So I had a little bit of a post office moment today because I received in the mail a package from Faroe Islands. And everything about it was just so beautiful. It was brown paper with a beautiful stamp on it that said Island Wool Company, and I posted that on my Instagram. And we received our Snelden yarn. Thanks a lot, S.E. Hepworth. And she, if you have seen the thread, she was one of the prize winners for the Island Wool Knit Along. So Morgan and I are going to knit this as well. And, sorry, the Vedbeck shawl, I have it on here because I purchased it. Where is it? I thought it was on here. Curses, Batman.
You want me to?
Yeah. So the Vedbeck shawl, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but
That's how I've been pronouncing
what it is. It's by Karina Westermann. She is a designer that I believe is originating or currently resides in Scotland. And she has released a series of patterns that are pretty gorgeous. They're very rustic, and they really capture a sense of place and a sense of ancient time. And of course, that's very appealing to me. And she works quite a bit with this yarn line. So this is,
Which one do you want?
Snelden. Let's do, these are S.E. Hepworth's, but we can do that one. It shows off the slip stitch.
Okay.
Yep. So this is from her Doggerland collection of patterns. And it is, I mean, come on, wrap me up in that and put me on the coast. It's awesome.
Very exciting.
I mean, I can smell the peat smoke and the lanolin right through the screen. So, I know, you're very surprised because I bought charcoal, the colorway, to do it. This is a Falkland Faroese wool blend, and while very different than the Morehouse Merino, it retains such an amazing characteristic and quality as well. And the description I would have for this is strong and
it's strong and I don't know, it has a lot of character. You
Yeah,
were
and
saying it looks like it has the sheen.
it has sheen. It's got, there's a lot of good adjectives that obviously are eluding us right now.
I like that it's not
it
a
feels,
matte color. I like that there's, I don't know, it has life.
has a lot of depth to it. Yeah, life to it. It feels, this is going to be a little bit foo-foo, but it feels a little bit protective versus
versus those flaky yarns.
Versus insulatory. Versus something for warmth versus something that's going to be, I don't know. So anyway.
Like down versus like a windbreaker.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So this is the charcoal. I think it better back here. And it does have a lot of depth. It's a really stunning yarn. I feel like I'm talking about wine. So I'm going to do my Vedbeck in this. And what are you going to do your Vedbeck in?
In the driftwood colorway, which...
Yeah, right there.
Right here. Yeah, driftwood. I'm really excited. I feel like everything I'm kind of knitting right now kind of looks like this.
Story of my life.
Because the Piper's Journey that I'm going to be casting on at some point in time is the twig colorway, which is very similar to this, but a little bit more rosy.
I'm going to show them.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if that's going to work. Gosh darn
Tilt it. Yeah, I can see it right there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, driftwood colorway.
And mine is charcoal. That's the colorway for when you order it.
Yes. I'm very excited.
And this is the 4-ply as recommended in the pattern. So I was so excited when I received this that I posted it on Instagram and I tagged Karina Westermann in the tag, and she was so generous. I'm having a lot of good karma coming out of England and Scotland and just like flowing over the Atlantic. And she was very generous and has offered us a coupon code for the shawl. So it's a 20% off on the Vedbeck shawl. The coupon code at checkout on Ravelry is Textiles in Time. She's very, very clever with that. And I will put it along here in the show notes, as well in the show notes. So that's Textiles in Time for 20% off the Vedbeck. I would highly encourage you to add that to your library. It's a very versatile shawl, and you probably could knit it in any varying kinds of yarn for whatever purpose that you might like for it to serve. I have a feeling that this will be my driving home in the dark, long-distance commute from grad school shawl, and no moose will get me. So this is going to become my talisman against the dark roads of
the night
northern
is dark
Maine.
And full of terrors.
And winter is coming. That's me right now. So I have a very long commute. It's an hour and 15 minutes, Monday through Thursday, and my classes end at 6:40 at night. And for those of you who live in areas with large mammalian ungulates, moose, you'll know that doesn't always mix well with driving at night. However, typically most moose accidents happen in the July-August. Moose are coming out into the roadways to escape bugs. In the wintertime and in the fall, they tend to retreat further inland because it's hunting season, and then they yard up in the winters, and they actually move up in elevation and away from the roadways. So, and sometimes they do come in to lick the salt, but you're more likely that the summer is a bigger time for moose incidences. So anyway, I digress about moose and talisman protection. We're like starting to get really glowy because we're losing the light. So, Vedbeck, Textiles in Time, 20% off. Go do it, and you can knit along with us. All right, spinning. My spinning and my Tour de Fleece aspirations stopped quite short when I left for Halifax because I did not have a way to spin on the road. And I was greatly inspired by Sarah Pomegranate of Yarns at Yenhu, who was Turkish spindling and posting beautiful pictures. And I was like, I need to get a drop spindle. And I have drop spindle and I've taught drop spindling. I just have never owned one. Actually, I did, and I gave it away. So that was one of the things I needed to pick up in Halifax. But prior to leaving for Halifax, I spun from Fondant Fiber Variety Pack. I spun up the Whiteface Woodland, which I think I already talked about. It's kind of blown out there. The Shetland, the Morit Shetland, which is right here. This is such a bummer. We need to be better with our lighting. And then the Grey Suffolk. And Grey Suffolk isn't necessarily a breed. There wasn't a lot of information about where this originates from. Shetland, Morit is a description of the color. Shetland from Shetland, and I've talked about Shetland before on our podcast. So I'm really excited about these three, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to try to adapt Kate Davies' Puffin Mantle. I'm not sure if that will work, but all the same, I'm working on the Cheviot right now, also known as Cheviot. And the Cheviot yarn, the Cheviot fiber, I was familiar with Cheviot because that was one of the breeds they were using to breed into some of the Shetland yows in Scotland. They're primarily a meat-based breed, and they exemplify a couple different qualities, and they lean more towards the down quality. They have a rectangular staple, pretty consistent, dense, firm, and durable wool, and they are clean-faced, perky-eared, and they remind me of mice, and they're very, very, very cute. What described as a Roman nose is a very long nose. Clean face means there's no wool on the face. They're very, very sweet, and there's a number of variants of the Cheviot. And they're a very active breed. They're very tetchy or spry and wily. Icelandics tend to be that way as well. And it's believed, and I like this, I got this from the Fleece and Fiber source book, of course, that they came ashore on a Spanish ship when it ran aground off the English coast. So they were castaways, and they've done very well. So I'm spinning that and very much enjoying it. They come in white. So.
Mine.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about our spindling. So, acquisitions and discoveries. Morgan generously watched our dogs while we were gone, and they were very happy about it. And I picked up at the Loop in Halifax, which is a great little yarn store right in the old town. I picked up this spindle, and it's made by Gil, who is
Gilbert Blythe.
Yeah, which was ironic, well, because you were watching Anne of Green Gables.
Yeah, and the sequel while I was watching the dogs.
Anne of Avonlea, which are great. So I picked up this spindle, and I picked up this one for Morgan.
Yay!
For her and all her blue-faced Leicester to work with. So that was one of our acquisitions.
Yep. And I was been working on my drop spindling. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, sure.
Spindling.
We're getting even more disgustingly white.
That's alright. So yeah, I've been working on it.
We look like corpses from the sea.
I look like...
Ooh, I look okay right there. Now it's going to come back.
Here, I'll hold here so you look good. Yeah, so I've been working on that, and definitely room for improvement.
Yeah, so we'll segue into this one. Well, you know, sometimes the tool makes a difference. So
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
What this new spindle brings.
Yeah.
Because I really want to spin the Country Girl at Heart fiber that was sent to us by Fondant Fiber.
Yeah.
But I want to get good at it. I don't want to ruin it.
Fair enough. And we are still looking, we're still in the market for a wheel, but this is a great way to segue into
yeah,
something.
And Sarah did say, she said, you might ruin it. And you have to be
not ruin it.
that.
It's not ruin it, but
there might be a learning curve.
Yeah, and if you want, I think you can work with it on this.
Okay.
For sure. I know how you are with expectations of the way things should look, so I
know. I have high expectations. I just want things to go smoothly.
Fair enough.
So I want to get good at this. I mean, I can't even comment on Ravelry because I don't have photos of it.
It's okay.
It's okay.
You're being very, very hard on yourself.
Yeah. I'm going to comment on this episode.
Let's hope it's positive.
It'll probably take me all night to think of what to say.
You two look like death warmed over. So, acquisitions and discoveries. We're kind of like in there. Rob and I discovered a couple things. We discovered a needle maker in Nova Scotia called River John Needles from River John, Nova Scotia. And Rob picked up a set of those to work on his project. He finished his half mitts while he was there, started on a pair for me. These are the River Johns. I thought I had the tag in here. The River John Needle Company. They also run a farm, I believe. Rats. We're not very good at this part, but these will be linked in the show notes. And they're just birch needles. They're very, very sweet. I liked picking up locally made needles. I picked up, it's River Road Wool Farm, exclusively at Gaspereau Valley Farm. And this is 85% Nova Scotia Cotswold and 15% kid mohair. It's worsted spun. I picked up this beautiful green. It is really that vibrant. And Rob is knitting me a pair of half mitts out of it. So this is his project. We also picked this up in, you guessed it, gray. And that's his skein, and he's working on this skein for me. So, the other thing I wanted to just mention is that for the knitting retreat that I'm doing at the end of October, which is Highlands on the Fly, if you're interested in coming, there is still space available. I had asked Island Wool Company if they were interested in sending along a door prize, and they sent 2 skeins. Sorry, that's the crinkling of the brown paper package. There's 3 yarn, which I'm not sure I'm saying that correctly, but it's 100% Faroese, no additives, with natural lanolin in it, and they sent the natural and this kind of peak color, charcoaly color, which is gorgeous, of course, and I want it. This comes in a variety of weights. I believe this is their 4-ply weight. Karina Westermann has 2 shawls that, one of which I think is called Hawks, Hoxne. I'm sure she can give us a better pronunciation of that, which I think would be fun to knit with this yarn in. I think it's knit in the Smeldon. They also sent 2 of their pattern books for Nivea, which are they're very creative and have a lot of neat patterns in them. So they were very generous. They sent postcards for each of the goodie bags. Canadian Spindles, River Johns. I also visited LK Yarns in Halifax when I was there, and I picked up a set of Carbons needles. And she was located in an area of Halifax called the Hydrostone Market, which was right next door to a French patisserie. And so we had almond croissant and cappuccino, and we went to the yarn store, and it was great. So very nice. I'm starting to push it because it's like 42 minutes in. So we're gonna do a little mega fun a minute with Morgan. We gotta set the stage.
Yeah.
We're gonna set the stage.
Set the stage for. Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Set the stage for those. I don't know, for everybody, including myself.
Because we're talking about wolves.
Yes. So we've talked about coyotes and we've talked about mountain lions, and I get really excited about wolves. I know a lot of people, specifically people who come from states that don't have wolves, or come from states who do, although you often feel the pressures and may not feel the same way about them that we do, since we do not feel the pressures. So we do not have a breeding population of wolves in the state of Maine. They were extirpated. We do get lone dispersers through, and we do have some sightings, but so far, no breeding population. So anyways, moving on. Wolves became nearly extinct in the lower 48 in the early part of the 20th century, and it was due to a few factors. One being their habitat was being destroyed in the eastern forest specifically. They were being logged really heavily, and land was being turned into farmland. Mm-hmm. And also caribou, bison, and beaver, which are all prey that the wolves predate on, were being decimated due to overhunting and trapping at the time. And that was also the beginning of predator control programs, because obviously as farmland was being turned and cultivated, people wanted to protect their crops and their livestock. And predator control programs came about due to that. So their habitat within North America at the time, wolves ranged from coast to coast, with a few exceptions. and they're found in almost every habitat type, prairies, forests, mountains, and wetlands, which I actually didn't know about the wetlands part. I found that very interesting.
It is.
Today, they're found primarily mostly in forested lands in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Montana, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, and Wyoming. So,
in Canada.
Well, in the lower 48.
Okay, in the lower 48.
Sorry.
It's okay.
In
I
the
just
lower
wanted to make
48.
sure.
Yes.
And a lot. Okay.
The lower 48.
Shut up. Shut up, Sarah. Stop interrupting the megaphone a minute.
Yes. So the Mexican gray wolf has been reintroduced into the Apache National Forest in Arizona and translocated into the Gila National Forest in New Mexico. I didn't find an update to see like how that translocation had gone, or if it was sticking, or if the wolves were thriving there, but that has happened, so there has been reintroduction in New Mexico and Arizona. Wolf pack size, I found this really interesting. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped ahead a little bit. I'll get to the really interesting part soon.
We're going to go with the boring part first, and then we'll get to the really...
It's not boring, it's just
know.
setting the scene, so you got to have all the information and put it together.
Right.
In my mind, this is how my mind works.
Fair enough.
So wolf packs usually hunt within a specific territory, and it's not uncommon for territories to be as large as 50 square miles, but they may extend up to 1,000 square miles where food is scarce. They cover large areas when hunting, and individuals can travel as far as 30 miles a day.
Wow.
This was very cool, and Rob thought this was really cool too. They can run as fast as 40 miles an hour.
Wow.
When they trot along, it's about 5 miles an hour. But if they were on the hunt, 40 miles an hour. That's fast.
That's fast. For
I
a
found
canine.
that fascinating.
Yeah.
Most wolves disperse from the pack they were born in by age 3, and those dispersing wolves can travel as far as 600 miles from their main
Original.
area. Right. So what do they eat? Basics. In the Midwest, they mainly eat white-tailed deer, moose, beaver, and snowshoe hare. And in the Rockies, they eat elk, deer, moose, bison, and beaver. Another animal that, if reintroduced, or not reintroduced, it won't be reintroduced into the state of Maine, but
No, they are
protected once they come back, if they come back, would help with our beaver population.
Oh, those poor beaver.
I know. Well,
That's-
they're managed, yeah. There's a section of the USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, called APHIS, Animal Plant Health Inspection Services. And we have, in Maine and other states, due to the logging industry and small woodland landowners.
Woodlot owners.
Woodlot owners, thank you. There is a group of people, and their job is to trap beaver. And I do, a man that I work with, his wife is one of those people, and they basically, because they flood roads and they flood lands, and essentially it's a crop. And so it's basically predator control at that point. So yeah, the poor beavers, they were all decimated. They made a comeback.
They did. They fought. They came back.
Yeah, and I mean, the work that they do is phenomenal and fast.
They're
impressive.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is. This is also a really cool fact. I love fun facts. So wolves can go up to a week without eating. Well, not up to a week.
Wish I could.
It's
It's my fast.
They do not up to a week. They go a week without eating regularly, but they can eat 20 pounds of meat in one sitting. I can too.
It's like
Sometimes it feels that way.
mine's more like 20 pounds of like bread.
Bread and butter.
Yeah.
So their body size, larger in the north, smaller in the south. The average male is 5 to 6.5 feet long, 2 to 3 feet tall, and 70 to 115 pounds. And females are slightly smaller, but just by like a half a foot and 20 to 30 pounds. Coyotes, in terms
Yeah,
of like
I was
your
gonna say.
relative, they're about half that size. So that's why when you hear people saying, I saw a wolf, and you're like, are you sure it wasn't a coyote? And they're like, no. It was definitely not a coyote. That's why it's really hard, but we'll get into hybrids at another time.
Yeah. We'll work our way there.
Pack size, this is what I thought was really cool. Depending on where the wolves live, their pack size changes. In the Midwest, it's about 4 to 8, and in the Rockies, it's around 10.
Okay.
Which I thought was really cool. And the way I was thinking about it was, in the Rockies, they have elk and moose.
Bigger.
And so they would need
bigger,
more, right.
bigger
I was
prey.
thinking about
It's
that.
very dangerous. You get injured. You
Yeah.
get, I mean, it's, you know, one bad injury, you're toast.
You toast.
So,
So I found that to be super cool. I think there was one pack in Yellowstone, because they were protected, they could monitor, and everything was natural influence. It wasn't man influencing. There was one pack that was like, I think 36 wolves. And it ended up getting so large that they split off into like 4 smaller packs. But it was 36 wolves in one pack.
I loved wolves when I was growing up, like most young women, young girls love horses. Like, wolves were my thing, and
I just reread Julie of the Wolves.
I reread Julie of the Wolves just recently too. You know, like within the past 3 years. Julie of the Wolves is by Jean Craighead George. Great book.
Great books.
Great book, but a little bit. I did cry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Because they're so good.
they're so good. She also wrote My Side of the Mountain, another great book, and young adult fiction. And if you're interested, Farley Mowat wrote Never Cry Wolf, and I saw that movie. I was spending the night at my friend's house, and I had lobster earlier, and I saw that movie, and I cried so hard I threw up, and I had to go home.
It's unfortunate.
Because that
Sarah.
movie, I know. Well, that movie is really. There's elements of that movie that are really fantastic and fantastical, and then there's elements of that movie that are heartbreaking. But he lives with the wolves. He even catches mice, and he eats mice. He lives off their diet. He recently just passed away. Farley Mowat. I think he was 91, 92. But he spent a year. I can't remember how long. He was a biologist. Anyway, Never Cry Wolf by Farley Mowat, Julie of the Wolves, and My Side of the Mountain by Jean Craighead George. Highly recommend those.
Love Julie of the Wolves.
So, yeah, I love wolves.
I know. They're just... pack animals in general to me are really cool.
Their whole family dynamic.
Yeah.
How they hunt together.
Yeah. How there's this cooperation, yet...
Hierarchy.
Yeah. I find it fascinating. And I also find it really cool that family members don't stay in the same pack forever, which is great because inbreeding would become an issue.
Would be a problem.
So they regulate that. I think that's so cool. Animals are so cool.
Animals are so cool.
So that is it for today,
Yeah.
because I just wanted to get the basics, and then we can talk about specifics at another time.
Yeah, specific elements. Sure.
Cool elements. Only the fun, cool facts. No, not really. They'll be
The FCFs.
The FCFs.
The FCFs. Fun, cool facts with Morgan. Next week we'll have textiles and time. So you'll have to, we're going to try to alternate just to alleviate some of the research pressure. So if you can hold on to that, your wolf understanding, in 2 weeks, Morgan will be back with Wolf's Part Der. Fireworks. And I think that's us. I think it's a fond farewell.
Yeah?
We're working on 53 minutes here.
Wow.
For Fiber Track, okay, epic. Not epic, but epic in my life. I'm trying to get on iTunes, just bear with me.
Saga.
It is a saga, and I get tired, I physically get tired working on getting on iTunes because I start to do this. And so I'm working on it, but bear with me. Right now you can find us on YouTube and the blog. But I am working on getting us on iTunes. And I'm heading down August 2nd for the shoot still with Marcia McDonald of Long Plains Alpaca, and we'll be doing natural dyeing.
I want to go to that.
I know, you gotta look and see if you can come. A fond farewell. The only little tidbit I have to pass on is I'm getting ready tomorrow to listen to Transient Wool Merchants, which is a brand new audio podcast put out by Ross Farm Fibers and another gal. And Ross Farm Fiber does a lot to do with conservation and conservation breeds, and puts a lot of time and effort, obviously, into keeping those sheep going in North America. So we met them at Maryland Sheep and Wool and brought home some of their yarn. And I think that this podcast is going to be a lot of fun. They have a group on Ravelry, and you should go check them out. You can also check out our group on Ravelry. We are slightly chatty, not overly epically chatty in our group, but perhaps with the addition of Morgan and her amazing comments, we will all be so inspired to write back with lots of new thought. She knits around.
She knits around. I'm trying to knit around.
Yeah, I see that.
More. This is flat. That was a joke.
I know.
I'm trying to knit around. I'm off the Sullivan.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah, we're moving.
I'm moving. I think it's going to be good for me to have more than one thing on the needles.
Yeah, I think it will be too.
Because I don't want to say obsessed.
You get a little bit focused.
I get overly focused. So yeah.
Also known as obsessed. Also. So we're gonna bid. We're doing it. We're headed out.
Adieu.
We're out of here. I won't say it.
What?
Oh, I can't say it. It's completely inappropriate. What I was gonna say. So we're gonna make like sheep and get the flock out of here. Bye.
Bye.
Sitting at my seat, staring out the window. And if that bell would ring, then outside we would go. It's time to go to the playground. Let's all run to the playground. We can dance down to the playground where we can run around. It's time to go to the playground. Let's all run to the playground and have fun on the playground where we can run around. I want you to push me on the swing and slide me down the slide, or see me on the song. We don't want to go back inside. No, we want to go to the playground.